This happened in October 2019. I was 24 years old. I decided to go on a solo camping trip in the Ouachita National Forest in Arkansas. I had been camping before. I knew what I was doing. Or at least, I thought I did. I drove out on a Friday afternoon. The weather was cold but clear. I parked my car at a small lot near a trailhead, packed my bag, and started walking. My plan was simple. Walk about 4 miles in, set up camp near a creek I had visited once before, spend 2 nights, and come back Sunday morning. Nothing fancy. Just me, the trees, and some quiet. The walk-in was peaceful. Leaves were orange and red. The air smelled like wood and rain. I felt good. I felt free. I remember thinking that this was exactly what I needed. A break from everything. I reached the creek around 4 p.m. Set up my tent. Made a small fire. Ate some food. Everything was perfect. The sun went down slowly and the sky turned dark purple, then black. Stars came out. I sat by the fire for a while, just listening to the water. Then around 9 p.m., I put the fire out and went to my tent. I fell asleep fast. I woke up at 2 a.m. I do not know why I woke up. There was no loud sound. No wind. Nothing obvious. I just opened my eyes and stared at the top of my tent and felt something was wrong. That feeling you get in your stomach. Like your body knows something your brain does not yet. I lay still and listened. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. No crickets. No frogs. Not even the sound of wind through the leaves. If you have ever spent time in the woods at night, you know that silence like that is not normal. The woods are never fully quiet. Something was wrong. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Crunching on the dry leaves. They were maybe 30 feet away from my tent. Moving around the outside of my camp in a wide circle. Not running. Not rushing. Just walking. Slow and steady, like whatever it was had all the time in the world. I told myself it was a deer. Maybe a raccoon. I told myself to calm down. But the steps were too heavy for a small animal. And they were too steady. Too even. Deer move in bursts. They stop, they go, they startle. Whatever this was, it was walking with purpose. I grabbed my flashlight but I did not turn it on. I just held it. The footsteps stopped. Complete silence again. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. I started to breathe a little easier. I started to think, okay, it is gone, whatever it was. I started to think maybe I imagined it. Then something touched my tent. Not a knock. Not a scratch. A slow, deliberate press. Like a hand placing itself flat against the outside wall of my tent, right next to where my head was. The fabric pushed in slowly. I could see the shape of it. Long flat. Pressing in maybe 2 inches. I did not scream. I do not know why. I think my body just froze completely. I could not breathe. I could not move. I just stared at the shape pressing into my tent wall and I felt my heart beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then it pulled away. Footsteps again. This time moving away. Slow at first, then faster. Into the trees. Then nothing. I did not sleep. I sat in that tent until the sky turned gray and then I packed everything in under 10 minutes. I did not eat. I did not wait for full daylight. I just packed and I walked. For miles back to my car. Fast. The whole way I kept looking behind me. The whole way I kept expecting something. I got to my car. Got in. Locked the doors. Sat there shaking for 10 minutes before I could even put the key in the ignition. Now here is the part that gets me. When I got home and finally calmed down enough to think clearly, I started to wonder what it actually was. A bear? Possible. But bears do not press their hand flat against a tent like that. They claw, they push with their snout. What I saw was fingers. Long and flat. Pressed like a human hand. I went online. I looked up that area. I found a post from a hiking forum from 3 months before my trip. A man wrote that he had been camping alone in the same part of that forest and had woken up to someone standing outside his tent at 3 a.m. Not something. Someone. He shone his light out and saw a figure standing at the edge of his camp, just watching. No face visible. Just standing there. When he yelled, it walked away into the trees. Slowly. Like it was not afraid at all. I have never gone back. This happened in the summer of 2021. I was 27. I had just gone through a bad breakup, lost my apartment, moved back in with my parents for a few months. I was not in a good place mentally. A friend of mine suggested I try solo hiking. He said the quiet would help. He said being alone in nature makes you feel small in a good way. Puts things in perspective. I wish I had never listened to him. I chose a trail in the Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky. Not a super popular trail but not completely unknown either. About 6 miles in with a good flat area near a stream where people sometimes camped. I had done research. I had a map. I had a decent pack with food, water, a tent, a sleeping bag, a knife, and a small first aid kit. I told my mom exactly where I was going and told her I would call Sunday evening when I got back to my car. I drove out Saturday morning. Got to the trailhead around 9 a.m. The day was warm and bright. The kind of summer day that makes everything feel okay. I signed the trail log at the entrance, which is just a little notebook in a wooden box where hikers write their name and date before going in. I signed it. Wrote my name clearly. Wrote the date. Put the pen back. I started walking. The first 2 hours were beautiful. Green everywhere. Light coming through the leaves in long broken beams. The trail was quiet. I passed one couple coming out around the 1-mile mark and they smiled and nodded and that was the last person I saw. I made camp around 1 p.m. Found the flat area near the stream exactly where the map showed it. Set up my tent, gathered some wood, explored a little around the campsite. Everything felt right. I ate an early dinner, watched the light go golden and then fade, and by the time dark came I had a small fire going and I felt genuinely calm for the first time in months. Around 10 p.m. I put the fire out and went inside my tent. I want to pause here and say something. Before this trip, I was not someone who believed in bad feelings or gut instincts. I thought that was just anxiety dressed up in a spiritual costume. But lying there in my sleeping bag that first night, I felt something I cannot explain. Not fear exactly. More like the feeling you get when you walk into a room and you know something is different, but you cannot immediately figure out what. Something in the air. Something slightly off. I told myself I was just not used to being alone in the woods. I closed my eyes. I slept. I woke up around 1 a.m. needing to use the bathroom. I unzipped my tent, stepped out, walked maybe 20 feet into the trees. It was dark but I had my flashlight. I did what I needed to do and turned to walk back to my tent. That is when I saw the light. Far off in the trees. Maybe 200 feet away. Moving slow. Low to the ground. Like someone walking and holding a dim lantern down by their side. I froze. Watched it. It was moving parallel to my camp, not directly toward me, just moving slowly through the trees in one direction. I told myself it was another camper. Of course. People camp in forests. People get up at night. I went back to my tent and lay there and listened. The light was gone within a couple of minutes. No sounds. Nothing strange. I fell back asleep. Morning came. Everything looked normal. I made coffee on my little camp stove, packed a day bag, and decided to explore a bit before coming back to camp that evening. I had marked my campsite on a small handheld GPS my father had given me. I walked maybe 2 miles north, following the stream. It was a good morning. I felt good. Then I found the clearing. It was maybe half a mile off the main trail. I only found it because I was following the stream and it curved in that direction. A wide clearing, maybe 60 feet across. Circular. No trees in it at all. Grass and low shrubs. And in the middle of the clearing there was a chair. Not a camping chair. Not something someone had carried in recently. An old wooden chair. Dark from weather. Sitting perfectly upright in the exact center of the clearing, facing the tree line. Just sitting there like it had always been there. Like it belonged. I stood at the edge of the clearing for a long time just looking at it. I did not go in. I do not know why, but something in me said do not walk into that clearing. I stood there, looked at the chair, looked at the tree line it was facing, looked at the perfect circle of the clearing, and I turned around and walked back. I did not tell myself a story to explain the chair. I just left it alone. I got back to camp in the early afternoon. Ate lunch. Read a book. Tried not to think about the chair. Mostly succeeded. That night was different. I built my fire a little bigger. Kept it going later, until almost midnight. When I finally put it out and zipped myself into my tent, the forest sounded normal. Crickets. Wind. An owl somewhere far away. I relaxed into my sleeping bag. I was almost asleep when I heard the singing. I want to be careful how I describe this because I want you to understand exactly what it was. It was not music from someone's phone. It was not a radio. It was a voice. Human. Somewhere in the distance, maybe 300 or 400 feet away in the trees. A low, slow, tuneless kind of singing. Not a song I recognized. Not words I could make out. Just a droning voice, going up and down slowly, over and over. Like someone singing to themselves. Like someone who did not know or did not care that they could be heard, the singing went on for maybe 5 minutes. Steady. Unhurried. Then it stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Not circling this time, not like my last story, these were moving in a straight line. Toward my camp. Slow and steady on the dry leaves. Getting closer. And closer. They stopped about 15 feet from my tent. I lay completely still. The singing went on for maybe 5 minutes. Steady. Unhurried. Then it stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Not circling this time, not like my last story, these were moving in a straight line. Toward my camp. Slow and steady on the dry leaves. Getting closer. And closer. They stopped about 15 feet from my tent. I had my knife in my hand. I had my flashlight. I was sitting up inside my tent, not breathing, just listening, staring at the door. Nothing happened for a very long time. No sounds. No movement. Just the feeling, the absolute certain feeling, that something was standing just outside. Waiting. Not doing anything. Just standing there in the dark outside my tent, 15 feet away, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. I finally spoke. I said, loudly and as steady as I could manage, I know you're there. I have a knife and I will use it. Nothing. No response. No movement. I sat there until the sky started to get light. The whole rest of that night. Sitting up, knife in my hand, flashlight on, just waiting for whatever was outside to do something. It never did. When it was light enough to see, I unzipped the tent fast and stepped out ready for anything. There was nobody there. But there was something on the ground. Right at the edge of where the firelight would have reached the night before. A small pile of what looked like animal bones. Small ones, bird-sized maybe. Arranged in a neat little pile. Not scattered like an animal would leave them. Stacked. Deliberately placed. I do not know when they were put there. Before I set up camp, possibly. Or during the night. I do not know. Packed and I left. Did not eat. Did not take the tent down properly, just shoved it into my bag and walked. The whole 4 miles out I moved fast and quiet, watching the trees on both sides of the trail. I got to the trailhead, got to the parking lot, got to my car. I sat in my car and I looked at the trail log notebook in its wooden box by the trailhead. I got out and opened it. Found my entry from the morning before. My name. The date. There was a new entry below mine. Written sometime after I had gone in. No name. No date. Just 3 words written in small, neat letters in the middle of the page. I see you. I drove home. I called the ranger station and told them what I found. They took my information, said they would look into it. I never heard back. 3 years later I still think about that chair sitting alone in the middle of that clearing. Facing the tree line. Like it was waiting for whoever usually sat in it to come back. I think about what it means that I walked away from that clearing without going in. I think that was the only decision I made that whole weekend that actually kept me safe.